We are joined today for one reason and one reason only, because we have feelings. Welcome to a Notsam Wrestling emergency podcast, because the tribal chief, our tribal chief, your tribal chief, Roman Reigns is once again back, and he's back with a vengeance. Last night on Monday Night Raw, we see the cage match go down. Seth Rollins, CM Punk. Seth Rollins has previously taken credit for removing Roman Reigns from the WrestleMania scene altogether. And just as that match is coming to an unbelievable climax, we saw back and forth, we saw near falls, we saw finishes, we saw CM Punk doing CM Punk finishes, CM Punk doing Seth Rollins finishes, Seth Rollins doing Seth Rollins finishes, Seth Rollins doing CM Punk finishes, both approaching the door, both allowing the other one to leave, but neither willing to leave the cage until the opponent was absolutely 100% dismantled. However, it was Roman Reigns that would make the decision for the match. Seth Rollins won the match, but it was only because he was grabbed by the throat and drug out by the cage. Now, look, this week on Not Sam Wrestling, we talked about the idea that as WrestleMania has shaped up between Cena and Cody, between Gunther and Jey Uso, between Punk and Rollins, between everything else that's going on, Bianca and Jade and Naomi and Io and Rhea, Charlotte and Tiffany, everything that's cooking right now. There was a conversation that you could do a WrestleMania not only without Roman Reigns in the main event, but without Roman Reigns at all. That was the conversation. And I would say yes, that was a possibility. But I also said that the minute Roman Reigns is back on TV, that entire narrative is going to change, because that's the power of Roman Reigns. The minute he's back in front of a camera lens, the minute he's back in an arena, everything gets elevated. Everything changes, and the whole conversation shifts. And that's what happened on Monday Night Raw, because to me, not only did Roman Reigns come back, but we saw a return of peak Roman Reigns in the attitude, in the action of Roman Reigns. To me, and I'm just talking feelings, we saw a return of a Roman Reigns that I haven't seen since well before WrestleMania 40. A return of a Roman Reigns who is demanding ownership, reminding everybody of his rightful place as the guy who controls everything in WWE. That guy is back. We talked about it last night, myself and Megan Morant. We were on the Raw Recap podcast. So the instant reaction is there. You can subscribe to Raw React Recap. The Raw Recap podcast. You can subscribe to Raw Recap everywhere you get podcasts, as well as on the WWE's YouTube channel. But here, this isn't the recap. This isn't the reaction. These are the feelings. So Roman Reigns, he pulls Seth Rollins out of that steel cage, right? And instantly, and he pulls him out violently. He pulls him out by the neck in that chokehold, throws him onto the ground. Seth Rollins has this look on his face like he's seen a ghost. Seth Rollins has this look on his face like, I was not ready to pay the Reaper. I was not ready to pay the consequence of what I did at the Royal Rumble after stomping Roman Reigns' head into those steel steps. He wasn't ready for it. But Roman was there to collect, and Roman grabbed him, and just as Seth Rollins had that look on his face, boom, it's a spear on the outside of the ring, and the front row is going crazy. Madison Square Garden is going crazy. OTC, 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 as he is beating the stuffing out of Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns came out with no entrance. Roman Reigns came out with no timing, no aura, no nothing. Just here he is, and he is not here to soak in the glory. He is not here to create the moment. He is here to remind everybody that the reason that moment exists, the reason that entrance exists, the reason that he's able to carry so much power is because of what he does. when he decides to get angry. And he decided to get angry. He is beating down Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is not getting in a lick of offense. And just when we think Seth Rollins has had enough, he drags Seth Rollins, he puts his head on the steel steps, and he says to Seth Rollins, I'm going to end you. This is where I end you now. And right before he can just smash Seth Rollins' head into smithereens, here comes Adam Pearce, here comes the Hurricane, here comes the WWE staff saying, don't do it, Roman, don't do it. And I'm going, are we going full old school? Is Roman going to lay out a bunch of guys in suits today? Because if he's going to lay out a bunch of guys in suits today, I'm here for it. When all of a sudden, as he's deciding what he's going to do, he looks over. And this is what I've said about Roman Reigns for a long time now. Every body movement, every head movement, every eye movement, every look, everything counted. Everything that Roman did was telling a story. He was able to do more in 4 minutes of television time than just about anybody in the industry, this Roman Reigns. He looks in the cage, and that's when we see it. That's when we get a bit of a wide shot. We can see what he's seeing. And we see the back of CM Punk and the back of someone consoling him. And I go, is this the wise man? And Megan goes, no, I can't tell who that is. And we go, no. And the camera spins around, and you see Paul Heyman, who we didn't even see come to ringside. We had not seen Paul Heyman enter the field of view with Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman is now in the ring with the guy who said, hey, Roman, he was my wise man before he was yours. He's in the ring with CM Punk, making sure CM Punk is okay. And Roman has seen something. This to me is the moment, right? When Roman is beating up Seth Rollins, it's revenge. Roman is beating up Seth Rollins for revenge. Roman is beating up Seth Rollins because he hasn't given Seth Rollins what Seth Rollins has coming to him because of being Cody Rhodes' Shield at WrestleMania 40. He's beating up Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins hasn't gotten what's coming to him for stomping Roman Reigns on the outside of the ring at the Royal Rumble. But seeing Paul Heyman and CM Punk in the ring together, no. This is Roman realizing this whole solo bloodline, because the whole post-WrestleMania 40 Part 1 was Roman Reigns having to reposition himself as the tribal chief. Roman Reigns having to destroy foundationally this new bloodline that had taken control over what Roman Reigns had created. And Roman Reigns was officially done with that as of January 6th, Netflix Raw premiere. He beat Solo Sikoa. The Ulafala went around his neck. The final boss placed it there. No more questions. That's over. Now, in order to get there, he had to do a lot. He had to team with Cody Rhodes. He had to get Jimmy and Jay and Sammy and all of his family back on his side. Even though it was tense, he had to play nice with CM Punk. He had to do a lot of not typical tribal chief Roman Reigns things. He had to eat a lot of humble pie. He had to call the wise man only for the phone to be disconnected. From the time he came back at, SummerSlam, up until, I would argue, the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns was telling a story of rebuilding, that he had lost everything. Except now that Roman Reigns has put his family back in line, now that Roman Reigns has reestablished himself as the tribal chief, now that Roman Reigns has reestablished his relationship with the wise man Paul Heyman, now the only thing missing from the Roman Reigns package is the WWE Championship. And so Roman Reigns is no longer acting out of a place of humility. Roman Reigns doesn't have that humble nature that, even though maybe not humble by everybody's standards, but certainly humble by Roman Reigns' standards, that he had leading up to this moment. No. Roman Reigns is back. And Roman Reigns is back to remind everybody that this is all his. What I saw on Monday Night Raw was the same Roman Reigns that looked down the barrel of the camera and said, that's my camera, that's my ring. These are my seats. This is my audience. It's all mine. I saw the Roman Reigns who told everybody, not just his family, but everybody, I'm the one that's putting food on all your table. I saw a Roman Reigns who is watching the WWE hit unparalleled success. Watching the WWE sign billion-dollar deals with Netflix. Sell out Madison Square Garden at 17,000 people. Sell out the theater at Madison Square Garden for NXT. Do a full 2-3 week tour of Europe before WrestleMania. Sell out stadiums to the point that not only are we doing WrestleMania 2 nights in a stadium, we're doing SummerSlam 2 nights in a stadium. We're doing Royal Rumble in a stadium. We're doing Elimination Chamber in a stadium. And Roman Reigns feels that the reason this is all possible is because of what he did with the bloodline. And that's the Roman Reigns. Not the Roman Reigns that is like, yeah, I believe that, but I have to prove it to people again. This was the Roman Reigns that's done proving it to people. This was the Roman Reigns that's back to take what's his. This is the Roman Reigns that's pissed off because people seem to have forgotten who did this. And when Roman sees Paul Heyman and CM Punk, and Paul Heyman embracing CM Punk and helping CM Punk, as Roman Reigns is taking care of Roman Reigns' business, Paul Heyman is not taking care of Roman Reigns' business. Paul Heyman is taking care of Paul Heyman and CM Punk business. CM Punk, by the way, the man that eliminated Roman Reigns from the Royal Rumble. So what does Roman Reigns do? He steps into that ring and without hesitating reminds everybody that this isn't Roman trying to convince Paul Heyman to come back to him. This isn't Roman trying to convince his family to come back to him. This is the boss. This is Roman Reigns, the guy who's running all of this. And you can either get on the train or get run over. And Roman Reigns destroys CM Punk, throws him into one side of the cage, throws him into the other side of the cage, spears him as Paul Heyman looks on in utter horror. And Paul Heyman looks on in utter horror for two reasons. Number one, he doesn't know if Roman Reigns is beating up CM Punk to teach CM Punk a lesson or if Roman Reigns is beating up CM Punk to teach Paul Heyman a lesson. And further, what was the one thing that Paul Heyman told Solo Sikoa? The agreement that Paul Heyman had with Roman Reigns before Roman Reigns left. Number one, it was two things. Number one, put Cody in check. Number two, as a favor to me, the wise man Paul Heyman, CM Punk doesn't get touched. That was Paul Heyman's one thing. CM Punk does not get touched. And Roman Reigns wrecked him on Raw. Let's not forget that that's where Paul Heyman was coming from. I don't ask for anything. I'm here to serve you, my tribal chief. But the one thing I must ask as a favor to me is that CM Punk does not get touched. And that guy who does not get touched as a favor to Paul Heyman got thrown up against two sides of a cage and speared. As Paul Heyman looked on in horror and Roman Reigns put the finger up. And with CM Punk, one of the most popular guys on the roster, and with Seth Rollins, one of the biggest stars on the roster, Roman Reigns showed up and all of Madison Square Garden was acknowledging the tribal chief. So now we talk about WrestleMania, and of course, I've got to believe. I mean, you don't go to WrestleMania anymore without Roman Reigns. To me, the only thing to do here is that triple threat. Is CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. And it's going to get very, very interesting because the favor is very much still in play. Michael Cole brought up the favor on commentary. Don't forget, Paul Heyman still owes CM Punk a favor, and we don't know what that favor is. But as of now, and it was volleyed about for a long time. Is it going to be a title match at WrestleMania? Is it going to be something? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? At one point, I even said maybe there's a match between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and the favor is CM Punk being put into that match because it will be a main event match, and that's how Paul Heyman, I don't think so. I think the favor is Paul Heyman's managerial services. I think CM Punk said to Paul Heyman, I will be there for you in War Games. If when I need you, you will be in my corner. And I think after what we saw on Raw, if I had to predict, if I had to guess, I'll say what I would love to see. I would love to see the favor end up being that Paul Heyman is in the corner of CM Punk. And when CM Punk calls this favor in, is WrestleMania in a triple threat match that includes Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Because what is Paul Heyman going to do if he's got to represent CM Punk? Is he going to represent CM Punk by himself? Is he going to try to split his time between Roman Reigns and CM Punk? If CM Punk doesn't win that match, if Roman Reigns wins that match, because whose corner does Paul Heyman like to be in? Whose corner is Paul Heyman's favorite corner to be in? The answer is the winner's corner. That's where Paul Heyman always wants to be, in the winner's corner. So if Paul Heyman shows loyalty to the original Paul Heyman guy, CM Punk, and I know Paul Heyman managed other people, but the phrase, I'm a Paul Heyman guy, came to be in a colloquial sense, in popular wrestling speak, came to be during that pipe bomb promo. CM Punk is the original Paul Heyman guy. And if CM Punk calls in that favor, and if Paul Heyman has to be a man of his word and be in CM Punk's corner, maybe Paul Heyman turns on CM Punk because ultimately he's going to be fighting for survival, or maybe Roman Reigns wins that triple threat match. Maybe Roman Reigns pins CM Punk. And then Roman Reigns looks at Paul Heyman. And for the first time in over 4 years, Roman Reigns celebrates a victory, and Paul Heyman is not invited to celebrate alongside him. It could get very, very complicated. It could get very, very messy. But hey, these are just feelings. This is just pure and utter wild speculation. I am loving it. I was so excited coming off of last night and that whole segment. Again, if you want to hear more, Megan and I spoke about it at length at the beginning of this week's Raw Recap podcast. Get it wherever you get podcasts, as well as WWE's YouTube channel. Of course, make sure you're subscribed to Notsam Wrestling everywhere you get podcasts, as well as the Notsam Wrestling YouTube channel. For both of those podcasts, leave ratings, leave reviews, stars, do the whole deal. Comments and likes on the YouTube videos. And I'm going to keep letting this cook. I'm going to keep letting these wheels spin. I don't ever want to stop talking about this. I feel like there could be another emergency podcast about this exact same thing. But regardless, whether it's an emergency or not, we will be following this closely. We will keep talking about this because the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, the YTC, is back.